Tweets heard around the world with your hosts, Coach Mac, Tyler Todd, and Alex Hart.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Thanks so much for tuning in to Tweets Heard Around the World. This is edition number 2. We got Mac up from representing the great UK United Kingdom up there. Say what's up to the people, Mac.
How's it going, Ty? You just do me every time. The level of energy you have there, I'm like, shit, man. It's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like,
I actually kind of feel low energy today, Mac. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, really?
It was just a walk day and a stretch. I didn't lift today. It was an actual off day, so I do feel a little lower energy today. I need you guys to carry it, but. Representing Canada down here, we got Alex. We got the man Alex down there with Canada.
Representing the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are playing right now, off to a terrible start, so I'm not too happy with the playoffs how it's starting so far. So.
Oh wait, the MLB playoffs started already.
Yeah, Cardinals are already in the books, man. You should be happy they took a win. I'm pretty sure it was 2-0 in the ninth. I can't. Maybe they blew it. I'm not watching anymore. So
I'll have to Google that when we're done. I like that, man. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. This is our second edition. We'll link the first one below, but essentially what we're doing here, guys, is all of us are very active on Twitter. I think Twitter has really enhanced all of our lives a lot. I think we've grown financially, we've grown body-wise, health-wise, all these things, our mindsets. And so what we try and do here is just save you 72 hours of research on that timeline, and we break down our top 3 tweets, kind of talk about those in short form and help you guys out a lot. So if you like the content we're all putting out, man, first of all, go give my brother Mac and Alex's channel a follow if you're watching this on my channel. And, we're all trying to put out positive, uplifting content for you guys. And so, I'd say without any further ado, let's just hop into it.
Oof, love it. Yep. Always great. Who's going first this week? I tried to shout last time and Alex beat me to it. So I'm like a bit cautious of talking now.
I'm just going to say off the top, I like to jump into things. And it was a big fight when I went bungee jumping this past weekend. Who is going to go first? Because I immediately always just want to rip the Band-Aid off, but I promised myself I'd let someone else go first this time.
Shout out to you for bungee jumping. That was pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, I still haven't done that.
All right,
shall I do my first one? Yeah, okay, cool.
Pick us off,
so my first one's quite a lengthy tweet in terms of tweets. It's from my good friend Sheshan. So Sheshan94 is the account. And he put, the biggest mistake you can do during conflict with a friend is to avoid them. All it does is lead to resentment. Process how you feel, bring it up from a place of love. And then the last bit really got me. It said, you'll be surprised how genuine others can be if you show up genuinely too. And I love that because for me, it kind of puts that ownership on you for how you're showing up in these, friendships, which people don't really talk about on Twitter a lot. And it kind of really hit me. And I think it hit me at a really good time because I was like, do you know what? It's about taking ownership for how you show up with any kind of conflict that you live in. So interested to see what you guys think to that. I can read it again if it's quite a lot, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think that was super powerful, man. The first thought I had, to be honest, my initial reaction was in any kind of interpersonal relationship. And I thought about my wife and how the first few years of marriage, I literally, if we had a conflict, I would just go do the dishes, or I would go just kind of avoid it at all costs, right? To kind of keep that peace. And then I'll never forget the day where I wrote this down. I said, when I keep the peace externally, it creates a war within me. And I can't be my best self. And so that was a powerful takeaway. And then I could kind of translate that to even other friendships where maybe what was I allowing, some guys just kind of give you those digs and digs and digs. And sometimes, and sometimes it's okay to say, hey brother, why are you doing that? I'm always building you up or encouraging you. Let's get to this issue. Right. And so just being upfront with people and finding that common ground, I think is so powerful, man. I love that. That one hit hard.
Yeah, it was a really good one. Like Ty literally hit it right on the head for me too. It's just like, you can't let it sit. If you're just trying to make it be good on the outside, you're gonna have that war, and you're not eventually not gonna be your authentic self. And when you're not your authentic self, it's just gonna lead to turmoil. I think for me, for instance, too, is just like Ty again. The reason my relationship with my wife has been so good is because we don't run from conflict. Whenever there's an issue, it's immediately brought up. If we need some cooling off period or maybe some time to think about it, it's there. But at the end of the day, we're not going to put it off to the next day. We're not going to do that. We're going to attack it right away. And I think that's really important when getting that communication out there and being able to, again, go back to being your authentic self always.
I think a lot of people are especially when you talk about friendships rather than necessarily just relationships, but I think a lot of people, a bit like you said, Ty, you kind of just take, and depending whether somebody's offending you or you don't like the way somebody's being or something doesn't feel right, you kind of just seem to go through the motions for so long and then you suppress everything, right? And then all of a sudden, and I've seen this in my friendships through the years where you don't say anything and then you just end up ghosting that person. You're like, I can't be bothered with you anymore. I'm not going to talk to you. And then you've lost a friend rather than kind of having a conversation, because you'll recognize, like, if you can talk to them and then hold space for them to talk to you and kind of share how they're feeling. And I know people don't like talking about feelings on Twitter, but, you know, share how you're feeling. It kind of just opens up a different world for you where you can actually have genuine friendships with people rather than just a surface level bullshit that you see a lot, you know?
Yeah, man. I think that's the biggest shift for me in the last few years too, is all my friendships with guys were surface level, just, you know, having beers and talking about sports. And now it's, you know, we're talking about deeper things all the time. And, you know, not that like kind of stuff still isn't important. You know, I like to have some, you know, Tom Brady talk or whatever it is, but it's cool to go deeper and form those deeper bonds with guys. You know, I think that's a powerful thing.
So yeah, that's my first one, man. Thank you.
I love that one, man. That one hits. All right. I got my first one here. This is from a champion. This is from Gia McCool. You guys know Gia, right?
Oh, yeah.
She is a champ, man. Yeah. She's awesome. If you're not following her, you're really missing out, man. So she says, them fats make you fat. Me eats fat. Them carbs make you fat. Me eats carbs. Them sugar makes you fat. Me eats sugar. Them seed oils make you fat. Me eats seed oils. Here's a crazy idea. Eating too many calories makes you fat. And I think for me, this one just kind of hit number one, because, you know, you see a person like Gia and you just assume, you know, if we can put a picture up of Gia, maybe, or link her profile up here, man. I mean, she's shredded head to toe, right? Like, and you would assume somebody like that never eats sugar, never eats anything bad for him, right? But when you kind of get to know Gia a little better, had her on the podcast and consider her a good friend, man, you know, you realize it's nobody's perfect, right? And I think she makes such a good point. And there's so many things that embody that whole thing that, I mean, one, fitness isn't as complex as we make it seem. It's just an overall lifestyle, and you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent and worry about calories in, calories out. And so I like that one a lot. I shared that one with a few of my clients and it impacted them pretty well too. So that was my number 3.
I like that. I like the layout of that tweet because it gets people in, like it's a really good hook. And it's that us versus them kind of mentality, which does really well in terms of like the content side of things. But it also kind of lets people take some pressure off themselves and be like, what? So I can eat these things and be in good shape, and I don't have to listen to these anonymous gurus that tell me if I eat seed oils, I'll end up losing all my hair and weigh 75 stone and I'll die. So yeah, I like that one. Gia again with a good one.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show that sometimes we just overcomplicate everything. It's not just health and fitness, it's every single thing. And usually there's just one underlying truth. And like with losing weight, it's calories. And if we start to get too complicated, sometimes we're going to lose our way on the path. And it's better to get back, simplify it, and just attack it that way, and kind of reverse engineer. You want lower calories, you want to lose weight, and then you work from there. That's why I like it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think I thought that one hit in a lot of ways too, just because everything in life, man, we kind of overcomplicate. And how many times do you guys hear from new people at the gym, what supplements should I take? What, you know, you get all these complex questions, and it's like, dude, just go move your body a little bit and start there, and give a crap what you're putting on your fork. Let's start there, you know, and then we can, I don't know, people do tend to make it way more complicated than it needs to be, I think.
Yep.
It's the easy option, isn't it, every time, I think, for a lot of people. And this sounds really cynical, and I sound like I repeat myself a lot, but people kind of look for that easy option, like, oh, I need to take this, you know, these BCAAs, and I need to take this protein, and I need to take steroids, I need to have all these things. It's like, well, like you said, get the fundamentals right. You know, which I struggle with a lot, but get those fundamentals right before you start trying to find some kind of silver bullet, because there isn't one, right?
That's right.
All right, cool.
I like that. Go on, Alex.
All right, I'll step this one up. This one's from Mike Schiff.
Love Mike.
Yeah. If you need alcohol to have a good time, I promise you, you're not having a good time. I don't know. I saw this one, and I don't necessarily relate to alcohol specifically. Never been too much into it myself, but you can really substitute alcohol with anything in this tweet, and that's why it stood out to me. Anything. If you're always relying on something else to get you into that headspace, to have a good time, to be relaxed or whatever. It's really, you're really not in the true relaxation space. You're not having that true good time because there's always something else that's kind of owning you to make you be that way. You don't own yourself. That's pretty much what I got from it. Alcohol was the easy way to bring you in with the hook kind of thing, but it really could be spoken with to anything, honestly.
I think it can trigger a lot of people as well. I like it because I hear it and go, yeah, you don't need alcohol. I like to have a drink. I'll have a whiskey. You know, I'll try a different beer. I'll have a drink and enjoy myself, and it's cool. So I can imagine, and in terms of content, it's really good because that'll trigger a lot of people and get a lot of engagement, which is perfect, especially for the account. But the message kind of rings really true. Like when you need this thing, that's when you know that you've got an issue, right? Whether you want to label it or not, it doesn't really matter. But that's when you need to kind of go, right, I've got a bit of a problem here. And whether it's alcohol, drugs, pornography, or whatever it is that you need to do, right?
Yeah, it's super powerful. I love Mike, man. Such a great dude. And, I think, the biggest thing I was worried about, I think when I went from drinking, 5-6 days a week back in my single days to getting on this health journey and this kind of self-improvement journey was, am I going to lose a lot of friends? Can I still have a good time? And even, next month I got 5 of my best buddies in life that we've been friends since grade school. They're all coming to Vegas. We're having a bachelor party. And so I just set boundaries now and just say, hey guys, Thursday, I can't wait to hang out. I just let them know I'm not going to be drinking because my family needs me on Friday morning, but I'm cool to hang out and still have a great time. I don't care if you guys want to get blackout, cool, go for it. I'm still going to be there having a good time. I don't need it to necessarily have a great time. Right. And then Friday, we're going to a couple basketball games. I was like, yeah, I'll probably have a couple drinks with you and enjoy it. But I think if it's not serving you, then there's a big problem, and I think that tweet kind of alludes to that. If you're leaning into alcohol and I can't have a good time without it, you really need to do some internal work, Yep,
totally.
Yeah, I like that one. Good tweet as well. I guess you're thinking, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I might borrow that format at some point.
Don't blame you. Yeah.
Mike's had some bangers lately, man.
Yeah, Mike's ended up on my feed a lot more recently.
Yeah, he's got a couple Zuby retweets. That helps too.
Yeah, of course it does. So my number 2 is quite an interesting one, and I agree with it for the most part, but it got me thinking, and that's what I liked about it. Because I was like, is this true? I think it is, but you could be open to interpretation. So it's from Fatherhood Reforged with my friend Alec in the UK. Your marriage is the foundation on which your kids will build their lives. Start treating it that way. And I think for the most part that's right, but my sort of curiosity is like, is it? But I think it can be, right, in the most part for people. What do you think, Ty? You've got kids.
Yeah, that one hits, man. And so just 5 minutes before we hopped on this, I tweeted something along those lines that I was just my daughter and I were hanging out, just us two, for a couple hours a day while the Bubbas took a nap. And my wife was working, and my daughter said to me, hey, is there a babysitter coming tonight, Daddy? And I said, yeah, they're coming tonight. And she said, I know why you and Mommy like to spend time alone together. And I thought, oh, great. What is she going to say? She's only 7, man. Uh-oh. But then she said, I know it's because you guys love each other a lot, don't you? And I said, yeah, me and Mommy love to spend time with you guys, but we also love to spend time by ourselves. And so my daughter is only 7, but she is seeing that. Kids are always watching. And so, I always have pushback, like when I coach men and I tell them, you need to create that date night, no matter what. You need to find the sitters. You need to find the in-laws. You need to take the charge and do this. And then a lot of wives push back. Well, we work, we can't leave the kids, this and that. And I always say, man, do you want your kids to be in an on-fire marriage someday? Do you want them to have just a roommate type marriage, or do you want them to have, and so if you want them to have that, you need to model that, right? And you need to make that a priority. And so that one really hits. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, to be honest.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, that one's a little tough for me. Foundational, I don't have kids, but I really agree that you, like Ty said, you kind of set the stage for that. But I also came for myself from a home where the foundation wasn't there. I wouldn't have learned. I came from pretty much a broken home with domestic abuse in it. So I think at the end of the day, it is going to be other things along the way that really help the foundation might have some cracks in it. Maybe you didn't have that foundation from a solid marriage as a kid that you build from, but I don't think it necessarily means that you won't or you can't or anything like that. I'm sure correlation wise, it would be great. Like having that on fire parents in front of you all the time is really going to set the stage for some advantages for sure. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think it's the only way to get that solid foundation in front of you.
Yeah, I feel that. And I think from your experience, you can kind of look at yourself and see how you've done in life and say, do you know what? It may have been a really good lesson for me as well in life, as horrible and as painful as that may be. It's not always the absolute that it needs to be that. And that's kind of what got me a little bit curious as to like, there's, in my experience, there's truth in that. You know, look at my upbringing, look at my parents were and think if they had did this differently or that differently, maybe I'd be a little bit different. But ultimately, you know, I think it's a stepping stone for you, right? You know, if you've got parents that are like the terms you use on fire, that are present, that are loving, that kind of set the tone for you, it's going to just give you a bit of an easier start in life, isn't it? For the most part.
I think that's a good point. And I appreciate you sharing that and opening up, Alex, because I think it's too many people like, well, especially on Twitter, this is the only way, right? Yeah. And so you know, we all have different paths. We all view life through different lenses. And there's a one cool saying I like that says, you know, there's an alcoholic father and one guy goes on to become an alcoholic and he's asked why. And he says, well, my father was an alcoholic. And the other goes on to never drink and own 10 businesses. And, you know, and he says, well, why? He says, because I witnessed my father drink, you know, and I wasn't going to be like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have this to get to that spot, right? Some people are like, I saw that. And in spite of that, I'm going to like build this, you know, this thing. So there's always more than one path to victory and success. And I think that's a good point that you bring up there, man.
Yeah, and I think like some days I'm grateful that I was in that situation because I would look back and be like, hey, maybe if I had two parents that were at home, we had their incomes, living in a nice house, all that stuff, maybe I would have grew up a spoiled rich kid, went away to school, blew it all at university, and who knows? Like I probably wouldn't have learned the lessons that it took to get to this exact point that I'm at now. So exactly, that's kind of what I was saying. Yeah.
That's why I like the tweet. It really gets, if you allow it, I think it really gets you to kind of think for your own, you know, for your own sort of experience, you know?
Yeah. Super powerful. I like that, man. I got a couple new follows from last week too. And so that'll be a new follow for this week. I like how we link them all and then I can go check out new stuff that they're doing now, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Alec is really cool, man. He's gone on a huge growth journey over the last couple of years, gone to Twitter, created this platform, you know, shares he homeschools his children in the UK, has that whole thing going on, and is really invested in sort of helping guys see how they can kind of level up in their marriages and as dad. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit as to why I wanted that in there as well. It's a little bit selfish, but I love the tweet, so I had to come on.
You got to plug people you love, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't gonna put anybody on here I don't like, man. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. My number two, and this is a guy that I really like, maybe a little lesser known, but he's really been tweeting fire lately. It's Long EV Lifestyle. I don't know if you guys have heard of this man, but he's really cool. And he says, discussion is an exchange of knowledge, an argument, an exchange of ignorance. And then he said, how to win arguments. Avoid them. Ask questions, show genuine curiosity, admit your knowledge gaps, approach new perspectives with humility, embrace discussion. Yeah. And to me, man, we're in a society right now, in a culture, and especially if you're on Twitter, where, I mean, dude, if it's not just, you know, let's cancel this person because they have this one view. And I just think that's so wrong. That's so poisonous. And I really like this, how I think it's so powerful. And I get to say this all the time where, you know, people on Twitter will ask me, what's your opinion on this thing? I don't know. You know, like I have a knowledge gap there. I really don't know, you know, maybe I need to go research some things, or maybe I just don't care, you know, but I think there's a lot of power in not just having an argument and trenching in your viewpoint. And, you know, even as new information comes on, if we look at, you know, the pandemic, you know, from a couple of years ago, well, man, I changed stances, you know, not that long in, because I realized, okay, some new information's coming along. I'm not just going to entrench and stay in this spot. Right. And so I think it's powerful to do that. And I think being a successful adult, you need to be able to do that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think that's almost, I don't like to use this term, but it's almost a bit of a blueprint on how to avoid arguments in life right there with everything you could ever need. Like the minute you start asking questions, you connect with that person, right? You disarm them immediately. And I do that a lot with people I speak to, especially on Twitter, and especially people that come from the sort of feminist angle when they do, and they start to try and give me shit, and I'll ask questions, we'll have a conversation, and before you know it, you've created a friendship with somebody and you share ideas, and you quickly recognize that you kind of just want the fucking same thing a lot of the time. And it's that easy, right? Yep. Yeah, I like that. I need to follow that human. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, he's top notch. Every day he has some sort of post that's just, it's good. He's a good follow for sure. For me, it's just simple. Like, changing your mind should be like, being okay to change your mind should be honored and like a show of strength. But for whatever reason, so many people think it's like a sign of weakness that you changed your mind. And I think just having conversations with people, making it known, and just that is okay. Like, changing your mind's okay. We're all human, and more information comes out all the time, and different perspectives. Someone might have, like we talked about in the last tweet, someone might have had a different upbringing, shows you something that you could never have comprehended before, and then you can change your mind. It's just that simple.
I think back to the podcast I did Alex, and we both talked like off platform a lot, was with Joe Lumen, you know, and just a totally different viewpoints. You know, we think different, we approach the world different, but dude, we are humans. We want the same things for our children. We might have different ways to go about it, but when you break it down and you ask them with genuine curiosity, you get to learn from them. And I think that's a powerful thing, man. And, you know, the last point I'll make on this one, and it's reason number 7,418, and I hate politics, but it's because all the time in politics, you'll see this where they'll say, oh, 26 years ago, he voted this way. And now all of a sudden and it's like, well, I would hope the dude learned in 26 years and maybe changed viewpoint. You know, it's like that should be celebrated, right? But I feel like they're always using people's past against them when, yeah, man, if people were judging me on what I did 15, 20 years ago, whew, you know, it'd be a rough thing, you know, like we should all be growing. And I think we should be celebrating the fact that we can change. That's the greatest thing about being a human being, right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a new follow for me as well.
All right. This one is one of, it's a local guy of mine that I've kind of met recently on Twitter, and I'm hopefully going to get to meet up with him sometime soon. His name's Jason Moore, at Jiminy Gillikers is some, you'll see it pop up either way. And this is it's just another quote. And he always has posts that get me thinking deeply. And I like the accounts out there that get me thinking deeply. And this one was interesting to me. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think that you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. And it's a quote from Christine Caine.
Yeah, I like that.
It's just perspective. Being able to take a negative situation, or what you perceive as a negative situation, and flip it on its head and realize that, hey, everything's happening for me for this reason. I don't know, might not know what it is right now, but I'm sure it's going to be something. And I liked it. When you think you're down and out and buried, you're actually just that seed in the ground that's being ready to like sprout up. I don't know. The visual is just so powerful for me.
I like that. I think I seen that on Instagram a few months back. So as you started saying, I was like, I've heard this, and I do love when somebody brings out a really powerful quote like that, because it really helps you kind of recognize, like, I hope that if I ever end up in that situation where I think I've been buried and something's happened and I'm on my knees and life is shit, that I can kind of remember that and go, yeah, I'm okay. I'll be just fucking fine.
Yeah, that one hits deep, man. The visual power of that plant that's then going to go spread out. And, you know, I think back, and I think if anybody listening to this, and you guys too, if you probably think back to the biggest turning points in your life or where you made big changes, you know, Alex, I know for you, it was, you said you were like laying on the floor one day, overweight and couldn't, you know, I mean, you weren't out though, man. That was when you started to like
seed,
your life. Yeah. And I think back to myself. I mean, I remember telling my dad, you know, after I got cheated on and divorced in my 20s, my life's over. This is it, man. I'm not coming back from this. Like, you know, and I remember him telling you know, saying, man, you know, you just got to take one step back and one step back and you don't have to solve the whole staircase, man, but just one day at a time, one win at a time. And it's a powerful image, and I think life gets really good when you start to view it from that point, even when negative things happen to you, or hey, this is an opportunity to grow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like
I
that.
like that, man. I like that a lot. Oh, it's me, isn't it?
Is this
I
the
was
number
waiting for the
one
next
tweet?
one.
Can we get a drum roll?
Yeah. Well, this is from an account who, if you don't know who this is, I'd feel sorry for you. This is from Save Your Sons. Everyone said of Save Your Sons, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
260,000 people follow him, I think, in the moment, something like that.
Harrison, he's a beast.
Yeah, I got a lot of time for him. So this is kind of similar to what we were speaking about before, especially what you mentioned with my last tweet, Ty. So it says one of the best things you can do for your kids is to occasionally prioritize your spouse over your kids. So it's pretty much what you said before. But I seen that earlier on. I think he posted that. Is that today or yesterday? Yeah, today. That was a today tweet. So
Today, because I
seen
commented
that
on it like 40 minutes ago.
Fresh on
Did
the
you?
brain.
Is that the one? Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I read that and I was like, it's really counterintuitive, isn't it? Like you see so many people that are like, I have to put the kids first. I have to do the kids, all about the kids. And then you get into the situation that you talk about where you forget you're in a relationship with somebody and then you're just two friends raising a bunch of kids. And then it's like, well, you kind of forget that you're in a relationship with this beautiful woman that you love and want to spend all your time with, right? And I think that is kind of, and it is good for your kids, right? Because they see it and then they see you at your best. And again, they get the best opportunity to kind of grow in life, in my view, at least.
Yeah, I think mine too, man. I definitely wholeheartedly endorse that. And pretty much everything that Harrison Save Your Sons tweets, man, this guy's just fire one day after the next, man. Yeah, I mean, me and my wife have a saying that we love our kids so much that we completely ignore them in the outside world for about 4 or 5 hours every week. We are up to the point now where we get 2 sitters and we have 2 date nights now. So this one is either a Wednesday or a Friday. We just take 2 hours. It's usually just a very long walk or a bike ride or something physical that we do together. And then Sunday we'll do like a 4-hour date, man. We're all planning something fun. We're going to do a little tequila whiskey little tour this Sunday and have a lot of fun together, But I think, yeah, man, your kids again should be witnessing that. And I think you're doing your kids a good service by showing them mom and dad love each other. We have a lot of fun together. I mean, I think if you were to go talk to my daughter again, who's 7, she knows mom and dad are pretty crazy about each other. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that tweet. That's something Kristen and we talk about. We don't have kids yet, but we talk about when that day or if that day comes that we are going to put ourselves ahead of them in those situations. And because at the end of the day, they're going to grow up and get old and they're going to leave the nest. And then you want to be able to still have that strong relationship with each other because you're going to be with each other till the end of time. So.
Yeah. I think the reality is there'll be moments where you slip into that, where you forget and you're just fully on your kids. I think the key is to recognize that that's going to happen. And when it does, don't criticize yourself. Just see and be like, okay, cool. I love my kids and I'm raising them the best I can. I need to recalibrate my focus a little bit. And a bit like you say, Ty, I love that you do the 2 date nights during the week and you have the 2 sitters, you do that. Like, that takes a lot of commitment, right?
Yeah, our second biggest expense every month is babysitters, man. To be honest, right behind food.
I've taken that from Ty and tried to implement it on our my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and take their nephew from them so that they can have some time.
Awesome, man.
With themselves. So that's kind of I've taken it to that level instead of
Super cool. I love that you do that, man. That probably means more to them than you will ever know. Like just the fact
they were
that
hesitant at first, but I'm trying to build that mindset for them too.
Awesome, man. And Alex, you're recently married, right? Like just a few months ago. And when you and your wife, Kristen, are up on that altar and saying these things, sickness and high love, like you're picturing that passion forever, man. It's not like, oh yeah, in 4 or 5 years, we're going to have a couple kids run around in a stressful life and we're not going to connect. Nobody's thinking that when they're up on the altar. But I think as men, sometimes, especially, we can get comfortable, right? Like, well, we got the girl, we got the house, we got the job, we got the kid, and we can take our foot off the gas when in reality, my wife tells me it's pretty simple. If I keep pursuing her, it's going to be the best thing for me. It's kind of a cheat code for me, man. Like when she knows I'm putting her first and I'm pursuing her, well, that makes her feel desired and loved and cherished. And what's she going to want to do, man? She's going to want to build my mission with me and help me and, you know, do all those things for me too. So
I like that. And I like that your wife says that to you. Yeah, and can communicate that with you and be like, hey, this is all I want. Because you're creating a safe space for her to be a woman, you know, fully, like not doing what unfortunately, and this is not me bashing guys, but what unfortunately a lot of guys do is they let the woman take over the wheel, don't they, in their marriage, and then they're like, well, she doesn't want to have sex with me, she doesn't want to do anything with me, she never wants to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, you fucked up a little bit there, you know?
Yeah, and you know, man, the first few years of our marriage, when we had our daughter, you know, we got said we couldn't get pregnant, by the way, my wife, and then we got pregnant on the honeymoon. So it was kind of a wake up call. And you know, as we started fighting and we didn't have a date for 18 months and things like that, man. And I remember as we were talking, you know, I would say things like, well, I got a raise last month, you know, thinking like that's enough, right? I'm bringing money in, I'm providing for our family. And I think that's a lie. Maybe, I don't know if it's the same in Canada and the UK, but I feel like growing up in the US, that's really all you hear. That's the metric of, are you a man? When guys introduce themselves to each other, that's what they say. What do you do? And they kind of judge you on how much money you make and things like that. When, you know, I think that goes into a deeper conversation, but
very similar up here. Yeah.
I think it's Western world specific.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
100%.
So
yeah, that's my tweet, man. Save your sons, on fire as always. I swear to God, that guy never sleeps. To be fair, he just tweets and tweets and tweets, amazing stuff. Like,
yeah, a lot of sons to save.
Yeah. He works a full-time job still too, or he might have just quit like a month ago, I think. But yeah, hey, save your sons. If you're listening to this, brother, give us a retweet on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, man. Always does me well. He's done me a few before. I think he retweeted something for me quite a while back, because I haven't spoken for a while, and I think I got about 300 followers off it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'll take that, thanks.
Yeah, he's man. And the cool thing about him is I've gotten a chance to talk to him on Zoom several times, and he's just the coolest, most down-to-earth, humble guy. And you know, you always wonder sometimes, why are guys anonymous? And his is so genuine. He's like, you know, he's like, he's got this long, beautiful hair. He's like been a rock star in his former life, and he's like, look, I just want the message to be about the message, not about me. You know, and I was like, what a cool freaking thing, man. Like, yeah, dude's just fun.
That is cool.
Yeah. All right.
It raises the question with anonymous accounts, doesn't it? But then I think you look with him and you can kind of see, like, because I started out anonymous and there was a genuine reason for that. And I think you look, but I think they get a lot of bad press, don't they? People that create anonymous accounts, because a lot of time they tweet complete rubbish and they have these viewpoints that are so out there, and you're like, come on, man, like you wouldn't do that if everyone knew who you were. But then you see an account like his, and I think that is a really genuine reason. It's like it's not about me, you know. It's about what we're trying to create, right?
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Speaking of studs, I'll go to my number one. This guy, man, I love this guy so much, man. George Ciceros, you guys know him?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just an absolute cool dude, man. And it's a really short tweet, but it really hit me. It was in a thread. It said, "Trust me on this, guys. Collect adventures, not things." And I just love that image of collect adventures, you know. And I think about that with my sons a lot now. That, you know, they're 2, and every day we take them to a different spot and we just adventure. I just kind of let them roam, man, for a couple hours. We explore. And those are some of my favorite memories, usually for the day, you know. And I just think too often we're focused on what kind of car you drive, how big your house is, what kind of watch you got. And at the end of the day, man, that stuff doesn't really matter. It's kind of the adventures you collect, the fun things you do, the relationships you build that really matter.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I think it ties in with what I was thinking the other week. Like, we just booked a holiday to go away in December for my partner's birthday. And before that, I was thinking, I wouldn't mind buying like a really nice tag watch. Like, I'd love this really nice watch. And then you look and you're like, yeah, it'd be really nice and it would look cool and I can afford it. But no, fuck that. Let's book a holiday instead. And you're collecting that adventure. You're doing, like, that's going to last the rest of your life. Like, this watch, you'll probably get it stolen from you on a night out, you know, or lose it, or something will happen, or you'll end up, you know, give it to your kids or something. No, you're not. It doesn't mean anything, right? When you're 80 odd years old, right?
And
Yeah, I like that.
Totally agree with that. One person I don't really, other than buying lots of baseball hats, I don't really buy anything. Like honestly, anything. I absolutely hate buying clothes. A lot of people buy clothes. I hate it. I would rather spend my money on anything else, basically. But experiences, that's what it's all about for me. It's been like that for a while now. I think it really started stemming for me when I was studying Buddhism a lot, about attachments to things, like how it really results in suffering. And it really is true when you start digging into it, because you're usually working a job that you don't like to pay for these things. A lot of people out there. So really, at the end of the day, is it worth it, or would you rather like go on this experience, something that you can probably take with you after, like these memories? You can't take physical things. I'm pretty sure we know that, but who knows what we can bring with into the afterlife in terms of memories and things we learn and stuff like that. And learning has become like, I hated learning as a kid, but going on adventures, learning new things, just seeing what new likes and dislikes I have is so much more fun, learning about myself as opposed to just buying just something.
Stuff,
Yeah,
man.
Stuff, yeah.
Especially Alex, I think you and I coming from a poker background, I think this is why this one hit me so hard, because when I started making a lot of money in my early 20s at poker, I bought the new sports car, I bought the fancy watch, I bought all this stuff, and I remembered at some point in my when I hit about 30, just thinking, I just don't care. This stuff doesn't. It's just so meaningless, Sometimes maybe if you're listening to this, and you're like, what is this crazy guy talking about? Sometimes maybe you just got to get to that own spot in your own journey or whatnot. But I do really think almost everybody I've talked to that's been successful gets to that point where they say, yeah, money just doesn't, if you have enough of it, and collecting things just doesn't matter,
There's a reason there's that cliche out there that money doesn't buy happiness. It didn't just fall out of the sky for no reason. Like, it's been around. It will buy you a little bit of happiness, so if you're not suffering because of lack of money, but
yeah,
it can only go so
It becomes
far.
exhausting, though. I think this pursuit of money for whatever reason it is, and I'm not against people going out and creating empires and making 6-7 figures. Like, go and fucking do that. Like, go and do it. Go and enjoy yourself. As long as you're doing it and you're having a good time while you're doing it, go and buy the nice stuff if you want. Like, I like cars. If I could afford an Audi R8, I'd probably have an Audi R8 because I like them. And I'd love to have that car, and I'd feel cool as fuck driving about in that car. And I'm like, this is great. Take one child at a time in the passenger seat and go for a drive. It'd be cool. But the minute that you're kind of like doing a job you hate to buy things you don't need to impress people you can't stand, like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's the cycle most people get. I think we'd all fall on there too, man. I mean, I think we all know people and friends that have $100 million empires and businesses, but dude, that fuels them. That's amazing. That's awesome. Some of those guys still drive 2015 Ford Fusions, right? Because they get that. It's having money is nowhere near an evil thing or a bad thing in my mind, but it's just, having that, putting stuff ahead of everything else, right?
Yeah.
Problem is. All right, last one of the day, man.
All right, this one comes from a guy that honestly just recently kind of discovered him, and has a lot to do with sports, but also life, so it's been quite a good follow for me. Love this guy already. Jordan B. Goldstein.
Yeah.
It's just been good. When you commit yourself to physical fitness, you're embarking on a journey of personal transcendence. Ask 100 people who went to the gym to lose weight what kept them there. 100 of them will tell you it's the mental and spiritual changes they saw as they transformed their bodies. And this one just hit me specifically because of the past 2 years that I've been on. It all started with, hey, I'm on the floor back behind me, can't get up. My body's the problem. But after a couple weeks of kind of working on my body, I start to realize, hey, there's more to it than my body that just wasn't in order. It was my mind, it was my spirit, and all those things were just out of whack. So it took getting serious about fitness and that to really start to get serious about the mind, and that's when I started getting back into things that I knew were good for me in the past, meditation, all those things, just bringing my whole spirit to a whole better level. And it all started with fitness, and this one, it felt like it spoke personally to me. I'm one of those 100 people that he must have asked directly, so that's what put up number one for me.
Yeah, I like that. I think because there's a balance here. I think for me, like fitness isn't the answer. Like you have to go and be fit to be happy. You have to be at a certain level of fitness to have all these things. And sometimes you need to look within yourself. But a lot of the times, going to the gym, going for a run, going for a hike, doing whatever it is, just moving your body, getting out and doing something and feeling good, just gives you that little bit of confidence to build that then creates that confidence for you in yourself that you then start to look at other things as well. So it's always a fascinating subject to kind of explore, but there's not a single part of that tweet that I disagree with at all.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think anybody you talk to, I love how he worded that too.
Yeah,
Ask 100 people and 100 will tell you. And I think that's so true. I can only speak for myself and other people I've talked to, but everybody that fitness is kind of a gateway drug, right? Everybody starts because they want to look better with their shirt off, or they, whatever. It's usually a vanity type reason to go to the gym.
Mhm.
But I think most of us end up at the point where even if you told me I got no physical benefit, I would go to the gym every day, just for the mental benefit of it, the spirit in you too. That just it's all in the mind, and I think that touches on all those points, man. It's really powerful.
Yeah, you really find a part inside of you that, unless you're really doing a little bit of physical work, that you would never have seen. Maybe that champion, that warrior, that little bit of a warrior sense. Like he says, physical fitness, but that could be anything. Like that could be if you're a couch potato, just like Max said, going out there and maybe just hitting a walk that you weren't doing before. It's gonna start the gears changing in your mind and stuff like that. So just powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point too. We're all on different levels, right? Like it's there are some people who just, dude, getting a walk every day is a massive accomplishment. That's going to make you feel so much better. Just getting your body moving is the big thing. It's awesome. I like that one.
I like that. I sometimes like going to the gym just to get out of the house. Do you know if you've been like, because you work from home and like you find yourself sometimes like, fucking hell, I've just done 9-10 hours of all this work and setting things up and clients and blah blah blah, and then you're like you feel like cabin fever, like I need to get out. Like you go to the gym, it's almost an excuse just to get out of the house and go and do so, and you don't have to socialize. Like I'm really unsocial in the gym. I'm like the opposite of Ty in the gym. Like I'm
Me too.
don't talk to me. AirPods are in. Like I'm at the gym, but it's nice just to get out of the house, sometimes. So even that, from a mental perspective, for me is kind of important because you feel $1,000,000 when you go back, right?
Yeah, when I'm in the dojo, just in jiu-jitsu, just being in a room full of all the people that are there for the sole purpose of everyone in that room is they just want to get better. They don't want to, not necessarily even just fitness, they just want to get better at everything they're doing. They're showing up. The guys that you see there day in, day out, every week you're there, the same guys, you get this bond. You don't even have to talk. You just have this energy in this small room of everyone's just trying to get better. It really just helps push too.
There's no ego, is there, in the dojo?
No room for it, really. No.
Not for long. No, you come.
Well, when
when
you're new, you walk in there, you feel like it's all this ego walking around in you, but then you realize it's you, very quickly. That it's you're the one with the issues, not the people walking around. You sense that they have an ego, but it's really just your ego projecting most times.
It's like the 7th or 8th time that you have to tap out because somebody's like restricting your windpipe, right? And you're like, shit, I need to sort myself out a little bit.
Yeah.
I bet in human history it's undefeated too. I bet it's like 4 trillion and 0 that nobody's ever gone to the gym and regretted it. You've never or gone for a walk and been like, oh, well, that was a waste of time. Like I guarantee nobody's ever done. You always feel better after you get a little workout in or after you do something.
It's always after though, isn't it? Like you can go on a hike. I've gone on hikes with people, and they're like, "This is shit. I hate it. I'm tired. Why do we do this? It's raining." And then they get back and they get dry, and you get in the car and they have like a coffee or they grab a beer or whatever. And they're like, "That was all right. I quite enjoyed that."
Yeah. Man, those are some good tweets, man. I like those.
Yeah, those good ones.
Good tweets, man. Can you when you send them all over, can you send me the ats in the Twitter in the DMs too? So that I can link those under the tweets and tag all the creators so we can try and get those guys to retweet it too. You can edit this part out if you want.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Do you want me to do a little outro?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Ty loves the outro. Go on, man.
Man, those are some powerful 9 tweets, man. I appreciate you guys sharing. I love learning about these new creators. We hope that you guys really like that. Give the channels a like, give it a subscribe, throw a comment down below if you know other tweets that really impact you. Maybe submit them to us, shoot them to our DMs, man. We'll link our Twitter screen names here, but something we really like doing for you guys. I know we have a lot of fun talking about these, and they really make a big impact on our lives. And guys, if you're out there and you're saying Twitter's draining or social media is negative, guys, you're just not following the right people. You need to go curate a positive timeline. This can do more for your life. As a person thinks, so is he. So, what you got to do is curate these positive inputs and start to take control of your thoughts and your life. So you guys go out there today. I want to thank Alex Mack, the UK, Canada. We got me from the US here representing. And we just hope you guys have the greatest day of your life. Go do something kind for other people. Go do something kind for yourself. Let's go change the world, baby. You guys want to send us out?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's cool. Cheers, man.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Peace out.